Two sticker things that were on the garage floor that were close to those 2x4s that were previously mentioned.
384.
Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to the channel. This is True Crime and Other Stuff. I'm Cheryl. Thanks for being here, where I like to bring you the facts about true crime, the missing, current events, or anything I find interesting or important. Today I will show you what Letecia Stauch did to get in trouble and why she's been moved to center court. Apparently, Letecia has been a bad girl, flipping off people while they're testifying. This is what happened Friday.
Mentioned that during I think mostly the afternoon session of witnesses today, that the defendant has been flipping the bird potentially to witnesses or to our family that are here for Gannon. And there have been pictures that have been passed to me during this process. One, it's disrespectful to this court. It's disrespectful to this process. And I would ask the court to admonish her to refrain from acting this way in the future during the pendency of this case.
Ms. Stauch, what you need to understand is that I can control the conduct of an awful lot of people in the courtroom, including yours. And don't do that. Don't show that kind of, don't be making disrespectful gestures to witnesses, to people, to family members, anything like that. You need to understand that if that continues, I can have you removed and the trial will continue without you. And you will sit in a holding cell in this building, and every time we take a break, I'll bring you back up to ask whether or not you can conform your conduct to what I'm requiring. If you choose to act in a disruptive behavior or disruptive fashion, I'll just have you removed and we'll continue on without you, and then we'll check and see if you want to come back and behave in a respectful manner. So I'll just leave it at that, and we will see where we are on Monday. You had received some information, and I thought you said some photographs regarding the defendant's conduct, which potentially could be construed as extending the middle finger or flipping people off. While you have the right to be present for your trial, you also have the responsibility to behave with the respect and decorum required for this formal proceeding. You also have the responsibility to behave in such a fashion as to make the use of additional restraints unnecessary. Sometimes, during trial, a defendant chooses to act out. The likelihood that that will happen, in my experience, seems to increase the longer the trial takes and the more serious the charges are. And I know that right now we're in week 4, or we finished 4 weeks, we're starting week 5. You aren't the first defendant to act out. Probably not going to be the last. I cannot imagine the pressure a defendant feels during any trial. It's not uncommon for a defendant to disagree with certain testimony or dislike a witness or a victim. Nevertheless, you cannot act disrespectfully in words or actions. First of all, never helps you out. You've already heard one juror submitted a question regarding his observation of your conduct. They don't miss anything. It also makes your attorney's job much harder. They need to focus on the evidence presented and how to counter that rather than your conduct in the courtroom. I am also aware of the practical realities that exist in this case. I could hold you in contempt for your conduct in the courtroom. That would mean that I could impose a sentence of up to 6 months of jail for each incident of conduct which I find to be contemptuous. However, in a case where a defendant is facing decades or even life in prison, if convicted, a 6-month contempt sentence does not seem to be much of a deterrent. But that does not leave me without a remedy. We have moved the tables around. You are now sitting in a chair that does not rock or swivel. You will be directly facing the bench, and you will be more in my line of sight. I want to caution you against certain actions, such as waving your hands around, trying to stretch your fingers out, and leaving one of them more prominent than the other. Those acts would be, in my opinion, disrespectful to the proceeding. It's disrespectful to the court and the legal process. I also view it as a form of witness intimidation and an attempt to influence presentation of evidence in this case. If that conduct occurs again, it would be a violation of the decorum I expect in this case. Everybody that's sitting in the gallery sees signs that have already warned them of the same kind of conduct. You can't do it either. I may then impose other remedies. I could simply have a bolt installed on the underside of the table and have your hands cuffed to that bolt. You wouldn't be able to use your hands. The jury wouldn't be able to see the handcuffs. It would be uncomfortable. I could have you removed from the courtroom and the trial would proceed without you. You would not be returned to the jail. Instead, you would be held in a holding cell in this building. You know how uncomfortable they are. You would then be transported back to the courtroom at every break to see if you had changed your mind and agreed to behave in a respectful manner a courtroom requires. And you would be brought over for the next day of trial, and we would start all over again. So, with that, is the prosecution prepared to proceed?